Our teams typically are physically co-located in a team room. Now, there's a lot of, we're in Europe, so we're quite used to open plan offices. In America, open plan offices are like, oh, it's, the devil. But what we do that's different, this wasn't entirely popular with everybody, but when we did this, our team room means that when you stand up, everybody within earshot of you is on your team, like cares about what you're talking about, as long as you're not talking about what you had for dinner or Trump or Brexit or whatever, So you're all working on the same thing. And then we have those team rooms in areas, and then we have meeting rooms around the team rooms, and then we have another team room. And we completely knocked down the office and rebuilt it to allow us to do this, which is awesome, but not everybody has those resources. It's cross-discipline, as I've already said, self-managing work on what they want. We keep our teams intact. So a team might change what they're given to work on, like might be given a different problem. And as a manager, quite often what I do is when a team, when an area feels done, it's very hard to stop working on something. So you tend to just give them another problem. No, this one's a higher priority. Don't, you know what I mean? I really need you to fix this for me now and go work on this. So, and that's a good way of keeping teams. But we keep the teams intact. Because, you have the whole problem of, like, storming, norming, forming, all that team stuff. You get to know people, you get to know what they're good at, where people's strengths are and things. And so it's important that we keep these teams intact. They own the features in production. They own the reliability. If the service goes down and it's their service that's sending out an alert, then they are the ones that get pulled in to fix it, So there's none of this throwing code over to the wall to the SRE team or the ops team or whatever, and they take care of running it. And, oh yeah, I'll go and fix that live site incident. I just need to finish off where I am right now and finish off this amazing feature because I've got it in my head, No, you own the live site, and if a live site's down, you go work on that top priority. We do something in our team which is a bit nuts, and nobody else in Microsoft does it, but it works for us. We allow our teams, our engineers, to decide which team they're going to work on. Roughly every 12 to 18 months, well, every 2 years-ish, actually, sorry. So roughly every 2 years, we do what's called our sticky note exercise. See, we still use sticky notes, even though we've got, Azure boards and things for this exercise anyway. And you go and pick what team you want to work on. Like, what's my first choice, second choice, third choice team I want to work on? And as a manager, I've got to go and pitch why my area is the most important thing and the most interesting thing and the most vital thing to go work on ever. Yeah. It's quite intimidating as a manager. It's quite a good experience because it makes you really think, like, is it the most important thing? Like, why are we working on this? If nobody goes and works for that manager anymore, that's usually a sign you've got a leadership issue, and it's quite handy to address. But what we want to do is allow our teams to grow and develop without having to leave our product, our business. I would hate the only way for somebody to feel like they can grow and go learn a new technology or go work on a new problem is to, leave my team, or worse, leave Microsoft. Like I want people to be able to self-manage their careers and get career growth within my team. So it works really well. Typically, you get less than 20% of people change. And then of those, we can usually get about 98% of people get their first choice, and sometimes there's a bit of negotiation. But 100% get a choice, so they have the perception of choosing anyway. You know what I mean? And they think, yeah, this is awful, but it's self-destined awfulness. You just blame yourself rather than your managers. That's awesome. So it works really well for us, but as I say, nobody else does it yet in Microsoft, so maybe we're just crazy. Then all the Scrum sort of ceremonies, so stakeholder videos, over-the-shoulder demo type things, what you're going to do next sprint, your retrospectives. We condense all those in terms of reporting across teams. We condense all those down into a heartbeat, and it's an email that goes out. So you send an email out that says what you did this sprint, what you're going to do next sprint, what you delivered into production with telemetry enabled this sprint, what you've learned from that. And then is a video. It's a sort of less than 5 minutes long. No production values, because when we first started doing videos, Microsoft's got ultra competitive. Well, not ultra competitive, but there's lots of people who are top proper nerdy, and so you'd find like these like CGI sequences, and people, there was one group did like a dance routine as part of their sprint video. Like, nope, I'm not watching that. I just want to, no production values, no sequence shortening. You can't say, and then we start the team project creation. And look, isn't it amazing? It's fantastic. And then when you go try it yourself, you start team project creation and it takes 12 minutes, you know? If you can't demo a feature in less than 5 minutes and you can't explain it, then you've either delivered, like you've gone too many, like you've only got 3-week sprints. There shouldn't be that complicated a thing to be able to do. So either it's too complicated, it's too slow, or you've gone too many sprints between delivering it. So it's a good test. And then we do these team chats where we bring people together periodically. So our teams chat with each other to make sure, you know, to avoid kind of duplication and overlap. And, oh, I was working on that problem. Oh, we've done a similar thing to that. You know, the cross-team sharing. And that's the leaders of each team get together and talk. And then we have these experience reviews every quarter where we're replanning what happens in 6 months' time. Where do we want to be in 6 months from now? That's very aspirational, the experience review. It's typically, you know, some PowerPoint slides and things like this is a picture of where I want to be in 6 months' time. I've done experience reviews for features where they're only like public project stuff. So you've been able to go in and mark a project as public. I did the experience review of that 2011, maybe. It was my goal in 6 months to have public projects enabled, you know. I was quite ambitious. That didn't get there. Other priorities came in, and then, you know, then it surfaced back up again, and we kind of, let's dust off the plan for public projects. Let's go do that, you know. So that our experience reviews are very much aspirational where we want to be in 6 months, but the plan changes within those sprints, and that's fine. You just keep replanning. And then the benefits of going agile is you get lots of smiley people holding post-it notes, apparently. But also, you know, teams are continuously planning. The value of planning is in the thought process that went behind the planning, not in the plan. The plan's useless once you've created it, really. It's the thought process is in getting to there. That's the value, so you just keep replanning. Right, let's go through these fairly quickly now. So we wanted to get more quality earlier on in the process. What used to happen was we used to have a lot of testing where it was like UI automation testing and not so much what you would think of as unit testing, you know, like X unit, N unit test sort of thing. Most of it was actually done using quite complex, lots of code UI automation testing. Because remember, we had a whole career track of people whose job it was to build tests. So they were really, really clever at them and built all the latest fancy UI automation tests. Goodness, amazing stuff. Problem is they're really flaky and they're really unreliable and they're expensive to run and you can't run them in production because otherwise it like puts loads of data into the system and lots of issues. So what we ended up doing is we knew we wanted to get to a path where we had a high degree of proper, what you would think of as proper unit tests, where they are, you know, completely isolated, standalone unit tests. Your code is fully testable. It's not detestable code. And then we have what we called them L1, L0 and things. And now, because we wanted to get rid of a name, because we were finding we were getting into all sorts of like religious wars around testing. And what, you know, that's not a unit test because you're talking to a SQL, you know, you're talking to a database. But I've got a Sprock. How do I test a Sprock without going to the database? You know, so we just gave them names that didn't mean anything to stop the arguments because bored with trying to find the right name of things. So we wanted to go to that kind of shift.